Is clear and visible to all of you. Hope it's clear.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday we actually spoke about. I think we went to. Yeah, I think we were talking about strategic alignment. Okay, that's what we covered yesterday. And in the strategic alignment, what we primarily spoke about is we spoke about why strategic alignment is important and how it's not a one-time activity. It has to be done throughout the program. Okay, and some of the documents that we considered, which we have discussed in our earlier sessions as well. Uh, these are the business case, program charter, and roadmap. Okay, and as you can see over here is whenever you're looking to exam, you're talking about the program alignment. That's validation of your program alignment to strategy. That's a continuous activity and has to be done throughout. Primarily, it is the program manager who will be doing that. Similarly, managing strategic risk. Again, this is not a one-time activity. Our strategy keeps on changing, so even that has to be managed throughout, and then interface with the portfolio management. Okay, because obviously every program theoretically is part of a portfolio. Okay, at least from the PMP perspective, PGMP perspective, what PMI says is each of the program is part of the portfolio. Okay, so even if there is a portfolio shift that happens, even that will have to be continuously interfaced and managed. Again, all of this will be done by the program manager. Uh, Again, the focus and tips for you guys. So it's going to be your understanding around program success. Okay. Now here, just understand that, and sorry, I'll just start kind of underlying things for you. Now, don't think about PMP over here because the moment you think about PMP, you're talking about scope, schedule, and budget. Okay, that's not what you're doing over here. Here, your focus is delivering the right outcomes and how it aligns to the organization strategy. Okay, there will be questions over there wherein you will see things like benefits being mentioned, strategic alignment being mentioned. You have to focus on those. Okay, don't think about how you had done PMP and go in that direction. Okay. Now, obviously, when it comes down to documents, and this is something that we had covered in our earlier sessions, was business case, program charter, and program roadmap. Please understand what was their purpose, who creates them. So, for example, business case, program charter is primarily by the sponsor. Program roadmap is created by the who creates a program roadmap. Sorry, let me ask you that question. Who creates a program roadmap?
Program manager.
Program manager, exactly. So, except for business case, program charter, everything else is created by the by the program manager. Okay, then obviously understand that there are going to be scenario based questions. Okay, now this is one thing that I'd mentioned over here is external factor. Remember I had spoken about pestle. Sometimes it's a risk, sometimes it's an opportunity. You will have questions like what is the first thing. Okay, so remember, this is the moment you're seeing anything on the strategy, what the first thing would be is you need to review the business case, speak to the governance board, or understand the continued alignment. So normally, if your question has answers like these are the probable correct direction for your answers. Okay, the moment you are seeing anything on strategy. Okay, now you have to think yourself like a business leader, just not like a project manager. Okay, so continuously understand why are we doing this. Okay, and when it comes down to the strategic value, does it still make sense to kind of continue doing the program? So if you see a option over there like terminate the program, and that obviously will have some kind of a background around why we need to terminate the program. So understand that correctly, because if it says very clearly that there is no strategic alignment, there is no benefit that we're going to get out of the program, then terminating the program is the right answer. Okay, don't think like a PMP exam. Here you might have situations wherein certain programs may just fall up. Okay, they may no longer be they may no longer be applicable. With that, I remember one such program, right? I think this was I'm forgetting the name. Yeah, Lavasa, right? Lavasa. If you think about Lavasa as a program, it started with a big bang with all those things and everything, and today when we really look into it, it's kind of a ghost town, right? There's hardly anything in there. Okay, so the program got terminated. Okay, so don't think that terminating the program is the wrong answer. Just understand it very clearly before you make the decision of what the correct answer would be. Okay, So I'll take a quick pause. Any questions that you have on this before we move on to the next sections around benefit management? Any questions on this, guys?
So, Amandeep, why do you say that termination is cannot be a wrong answer? But
No, I'm
say a
saying,
program.
yeah.
Mhm.
So termination of the program. See, remember point over here, right? Everything that we have spoken so far is around strategic objectives. Okay. So uh, let's just say there is this organization-wide strategy, and suddenly the government actually bans it. So I think there was few China-based automobiles who were going to venture in the Indian market, right? And this was before the India-China situation happened. So there were some confusions that happened around it, and then there was a ban that was done on all direct participation of these Chinese automobile companies. Now, if there is a ban, there is nothing that you can do. You cannot just keep on saying that no, no, there is a ban, but we'll still try and get something in. So sometimes when the organization has been pressured or organization has been brought into a situation wherein you will no longer be able to drive that strategy, then what is the point of having that program in which is supposed to give that strategy? So if the strategy itself has changed or the strategy is no longer valid, then terminating the program is the right decision to make. Okay, so don't always think that, well, if there is a termination question out there, by default we should never terminate a program. That's not the correct way of thinking about it. That's what I'm trying to mention here. Hope that clarifies.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Because yeah, there are many projects like that also where
Yeah.
say we have to terminate some midway or even
Mm.
past the midway also due to
Absolutely,
many reasons.
absolutely, 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 and that's exactly what we need to kind of keep in mind whenever we are kind of seeing these kind of things. Otherwise, what happens is you will go with the default thought process. Oh well, we should never terminate a program and everything, and then you actually end up giving a wrong answer. Okay, cool. Okay. Any other questions before we move on to benefits? Are we clear with this? Can we move on to benefits now? Okay, I'll move on to benefits. Okay, so see, when it comes down to projects, the core purpose of projects is to deliver what we had scoped out for. Okay, now you can always think about traditional projects, hybrid projects, or even agile projects. The core purpose is to deliver something which was scoped out. Now, obviously, with traditional, your scope will be agreed way in advance. With agile, your scope will go into continuous iterations and continuous refinement. But ultimately, you're delivering to the scope. Okay. Now, you would have seen that even after certain projects are completed, people have not been able to take the benefit out of it. Can any one of you take an example like that, wherein you saw the project was successful, but still nothing got delivered? No one was able to take the benefit out of it. Can anyone give me some suggestions of what you would have observed? Anyone?
So I can take an example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is but public is not probably aware of that.
Okay.
Okay, so State Bank of India had a program of YONO, YONO2,
Yono
if you
app.
got
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
YONO app. Okay, so YONO app is already there. YONO one dot that was developed by IBM.
Mm-hmm.
So YONO2 was actually developed
Mm-hmm.
and actually it is in running in operations. Okay,
Right.
with this limited customer base, limited user group. Close user group means
Mm-hmm.
that is basically employees for many months now.
Right.
But it is not launched because
Mm-hmm.
of many concerns it is having,
Mm.
and it may take a long time. It was supposed to be launched somewhere in say in 2024 June.
Mm.
Now we are in September 2025. So 1.5 year there is a gap. So the other question also, the other reason also I said the termination. You said that can also happen in this too, because the original mandate
Mm-hmm.
is no more valid. The original mandate was that somebody having a mobile, Indian mobile number, he can transfer the phone from phone to phone without having an SBI account.
Hmm.
Now, otherwise also that is available. So, State Bank of India coming that in 2026 is no more a valid stuff,
Absolutely, absolutely, and
because it
this
is
is
late.
this is a very good example, right? When the organization has come up with a strategy, but the external environments have already moved generations ahead. Okay, then you can no longer kind of rely on what you had your original strategy on, right? So I'll take one more example like this, right? So BlackBerry, okay, there are various studies on Blackberries like that, right? So BlackBerry tried to do various things. At one time they were the smartphone manufacturer. They were the biggest smartphone share, and then Apple came in and other things came in. BlackBerry kept on consisting rather insisting on the same kind of technologies that they had. They never evolved the way how other organizations or other phone manufacturers were evolving. Okay, and that's where they kind of hit a roadblock. Okay, at one time, an organization, imagine this, right, had the majority. They were the smartphone manufacturers. To now, they actually virtually being extinct. They actually do not have any kind of presence whatsoever as a device manufacturer. They might still have some kind of a presence on at least some kind of a software platform and so on, but when it comes down to as them being a manufacturer of devices, they are no longer there. And that's what would happen in certain situations wherein you are trying to kind of come up with a certain strategy, certain benefit, and let's say that benefit you're no longer going to achieve it. Okay, then you will have these kind of situations wherein even if your project is successful. So BlackBerry did launch various products based on Android. Okay, in the later half, they did that. They also sold them all to, I think, was it HTC or ZT? I don't remember whom they got sold off for. They tried to relaunch BlackBerry with Android and all the capabilities, and still it failed. So even at that time, think about in this way, right? The project was still successful. Were they able to revise their product line based on Android? Yes, the project was still successful, but was did the project deliver the benefits that it was intending to deliver? No, it did not deliver those benefits. The company became extinct. It's completely gone now. Okay, so that is the key distinction when you have to think about project versus program. Is with project you deliver the output as what was scoped, irrespective of whichever project methodologies you have used. Your project is successful. With program, however, okay, again, it's going to be group of components like projects, like subprograms, like other program activities. A program is only going to be successful if it has created the value. Okay, you see this created value. Now, in your exam, benefits and value is nothing but the same word. Do not get confused what is value, what is benefit. It's the same thing. Technically, what we are trying to say is it has to deliver some kind of a value. Doesn't matter whether it's tangible or intangible. Okay, tangible means it could be anything like a physical device or so on. Intangible, maybe it may be some kind of a technology. It may be some kind of a service. It may kind of some kind of process improvement also. Okay, which does not involve anything physical or anything tangible as such. Okay, now what we are trying to say over here with benefits management is this is again a continuous activity. Okay, where the key focus over here is that we ensure that the program actually delivers the value it promised in the business case. Understand, your business case is going to be containing key activities like what is the organization strategy, and how are we using this particular program to deliver a value, okay, which enables the organization strategy. Okay, so that's the reason I kept the strategy and benefit very close to each other, because strategy says strategic alignment says how is this program relevant for the organization, and benefit says is what is the value that I'm providing as a program, which makes the strategy relevant for the organization. So hence it goes hand in hand. Okay, now few key roles that you need to understand is what's the accountability over here. So program manager over here is accountable for managing the benefits realization process. Okay. Now over here you might get a bit confused around benefits delivery versus benefits realization. There's a lot of vagueness over there, but for your exam just keep it simple. Over here is, as a program manager, my responsibility is that I deliver this particular benefit. So use the word realization as delivery over here. Okay. You will see questions which will end up confusing you, but just think realization as delivery. Okay. Now, who's the actual owner of the program? We always will say that the program sponsor is the owner. Okay. And with that, what program sponsor responsibility is ownership of the benefits and ultimate responsible for ensuring that they are achieved. Because program sponsor is the guy who's saying, right, this is why we need to do the program. This is what we believe by doing this particular program we are going to deliver a value. So the ownership over here is going to be program sponsor. Okay. On the program side of thing, now this is the first time I have introduced the word sustaining. Okay. Now sustaining in simple terms, and I'll just clear off the screen a bit. Sustaining in clear terms is, imagine this, right? So you delivered projects. The projects have now given a benefit. Okay. Now, do you think it makes sense that the benefit should only give you results for, let's say, 2 months, and after that the benefit is no longer valid? Do you think that's sensible? Do any one of you believe that just 2 months is enough? And we ran a 5-year program to deliver a benefit. We were able to deliver the benefit. The benefit gave us the results for 2 months. After that, the benefit stopped giving us the values. Do you think it makes sense? Anyone?
So it can if the revenue outbeats the cost in 2 months.
Okay, I'll take a bit of a pause over here. Let's not use the financial angle to things, okay? Because
Hmm.
a benefit should always, okay? Remember, we spoke about financial feasibility in yesterday's session, as well as when we were talking about a business case, we spoke about financial feasibility. Financial feasibility is just not the only thing why you do a particular program, okay? Sometimes you will be doing a particular program even for regulatory alignment. Okay, now let me twist this question in a slightly different way. Do you think it makes sense that we have to abide by a monthly regulatory compliance, okay, for the next 10 years? Okay, we ran a program, the program successfully delivered this benefit for 2 months, and after that, it stopped giving it. It's no longer giving us a benefit. Do you think it makes sense? It doesn't. Okay, in simple terms, it doesn't. So the key reason for us to kind of do a particular program is, for the foreseeable future we need those benefits to be sustained. Means those benefits have to be continued to be delivered, okay, for the foreseeable future. Okay. Now foreseeable future will also get used in conjunction with till the organization changes their strategy or till something drastic happens. Okay. So this is us basically saying that post program completion, okay, the benefits need to continue to be delivered, and that responsibility of ensuring that the program continues to deliver the benefits, okay, is primarily the responsibility of the business slash operational manager. Now, one of the other things, if you guys remember, I had mentioned is your sustaining of the benefits may start while you're in the program, okay, but it will continue even after the program closes. So, if you get through PGMP questions about sustainability of a particular benefit, think in your mind that this is something that will always continue even after the program closes. Okay. Sometimes you might come across a situation wherein a benefit, okay, may only come into factual, may only realize 2 years after the program is closed. Sometimes that may also happen. Okay. Wherein for 2 years nothing is delivered. Okay, your benefit was everything was done, everything is done correctly, but 2 years of waiting time is there. Only after that, okay, you'll be starting to see a value. Now, for example, right, if you're doing a program on something like wine, okay, now wines we know, right, wines have to be cast for for certain number of years before we start seeing the value that it delivers, and then we can obviously sell it off and other things. So sometimes you might be having these kind of situations that you have done the program, you've delivered the benefit, okay. However, the benefit value is not immediately realized. It might be realized only after a gap of certain years. But the responsibility of that, the moment a program closes, okay, remember this, the moment you have handed over, rather, let me not even say program closes, let me say the moment you have handed over the benefit to the operations, it is the business slash operational manager. Again, both these words will be used interchangeably. It is their responsibility to sustain these benefits. Okay, sustain means ongoing realization of value of these benefits. Please understand these three key roles that are going to play when it comes down to benefits. Program manager, his responsibility is, I am the program manager, my accountability is that I deliver on these benefits. Okay, that's number one. Sponsor, he's the overall in charge, he's the one who's saying that, okay, this program has to deliver these benefits. If something going off, then I need to step in and I need to resolve those things. If there is no resourcing, I'll go and get the resourcing. If there is an escalation need to be done, I'll get everyone engaged. Okay. If there is a strategic change, I'll help on making those decisions. That's where the program sponsor comes in. Business slash operational managers. Simple point over here is, once we have handed over the benefits, it is their responsibility to continuously generate value out of those benefits. If you only remember these three sentences, your understanding and the way you can answer those PGMP level questions will be a lot more easier. Okay, I'll take a quick pause. Any questions anyone has on this? This is very foundational, guys. I didn't want to make 10 slides on this, but I wanted to give you the information in the exact way which will help you understand and bifurcate the questions quickly. Any questions on this, guys? Any inputs? Any thoughts? Okay, I'll move on to the next one.
No, what?
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
so this is question is a bit. I don't know whether it is. It's not a PGMP question, but overall, if you look in PMI, uh, why do they feel that project managers should not look at benefits, and why should only uh, a program manager should
Oh,
look
that's a
at
very good
benefits?
question. That's a very good question. Actually, PMI doesn't say that the project manager should not look at benefits. In fact, there is a small bit of a section. Good that you asked me that question. Okay, see, even when in benefits there is something called as benefits transition. Okay, that benefits transition work, the program manager is not doing alone. Okay, that benefits transition. Let's say you're running a particular project, let's take an example, okay, which is kind of making the mobile case. Okay, kind of making a mobile case. Now you might have an overall program which does different mobile cases for different companies, but you have already delivered this particular project for, let's say, Google Pixel phones. You have made the mobile case. Now your project is closed, you have delivered a product. Now the project manager for this particular pixel cases is going to transfer this project, okay, to the business operations guys, who will then continue manufacturing this on a regular basis. So when it comes down to this, you are absolutely right. The project manager is in some ways helping out in documenting, training, guiding, okay, the team to whom this particular product or this particular benefit, in this case, I took as an example as a product, but that particular benefit will be transitioned over. So it's not like when I say that it is product has been delivered, it's done. That transition, the benefits transition, is something that will be actively participated by the project manager. So he, in some cases, is responsible to transition the benefit. Okay, but when it comes down to sustaining the benefits, okay, that is again the operational manager who will sustain those benefits. So that is a distinction that is there. Okay, but when it comes down to from the project manager also, right? Just think about in this perspective. He's transitioned it over. Okay, he's transitioned this product over. Okay, and that's it. He will move on to another project. For the program manager, he has to ensure that all the projects are finished within the particular program and the projects have delivered the benefits. Then only he can move on and close the project. For project manager, he's delivered the project, handed over the documents, did the transition, he'll move on. So that is a slight bit of a difference. But let's just say, right? Let's say this particular Pixel 7 Pixel case was delivered as a project. 6 months down the lane, okay, there is some problem that kind of came up, okay, on the product, on the operations. Do you think the project manager is responsible for that? Well, he said, I did the work. You gave me the scope. I delivered. 5 months it has worked. Okay. Now it doesn't need to. Now the operations team need to kind of handle that. Okay. So it is going to work in that way. So I hope that kind of niche kind of brings that understanding to you that there are limits to the accountability, the responsibility of the project manager versus the program manager versus the operational manager. Ongoing sustainability, operational manager. Delivering the project to the scope, project manager. Of the delivered scope of the project, has the delivery given us the benefit, program manager. Okay, so if you think it in that perspective, that will help you clarify it. Does that answer your
Okay,
question?
yeah, thank you, thank you. So other question is, I think this is I don't think PMI is addressing that currently. So now we have this DevOps or DevSecOps or whatever it is called. Okay, and that is what that is there in Agile. When you look at the Agile
Yeah,
methodologies,
yeah, yeah.
they make a mention of that.
Yes.
So how does this, because there is a development going on and ops going on continuously, and that which is called CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous
Uh huh.
development.
Uh huh.
Okay, so how do you put this in between this entire between the project programs and operations?
See,
Because
see the way I will kind of always think about these things over here is what is the organization strategy, okay, and how are we delivering to that organization strategy. Now we always know, right? Projects will have various approaches. Okay, again, you call it DevOps, you call it numerous examples, right? I, I remember while studying PMP, there were so many new things that I learned as to how many different flavors of agile are out there. Okay, irrespective of that, what is the purpose of agile? The purpose of agile is to deliver a working product. Simple as that. At the earliest, whatever is a minimal viable product has to be delivered. Whether you call it DevOps, safe, whatever in the world, the intent is to deliver value. Now, a program is structured in such a way, okay, that you might have certain projects which might be just hybrid, which might be purely agile, which might be traditional. Okay, for example, anything that has to be done on the government side of things, most of those will kind of flow through a traditional kind of thing, right? The purpose of the program over here, you always remember, right? You can always run these projects independently, but by combining them, bringing them together into a program, you are further enhancing the benefit that they are going to deliver rather than they running in silos. So I think in Mumbai, right, you had this kind of a Gokli Bridge example. That's a beautiful example. Okay, why it should have been a program and not independent projects. So two contractors started building up their individual thing, and by the time they came together, they realized that they had a gap. Had this been covered as a program, I'm assuming that it wasn't covered under program, but had this been covered under program, you would have a lot more continuous integration between them, right? They would have had those discussions way in the beginning to ensure that there are no gaps in what value, what benefit one project is delivering by a contractor versus the other, so that they wouldn't have had that hassle. So always think about program as in, if you can still continue to do independently these projects. Nothing wrong in it, but by doing them together, you're integrating them together better. You're enhancing their value, that they would have been delivered better. Now you might come across certain projects, okay, which have no reference of them running in a part of a program, because they can run independently. They have no dependency on this particular program. They have absolutely no benefit of them kind of being integrated in the program. Okay, their value is totally independent. So fine, run them independently. A portfolios can have projects, okay, which are independent. There's nothing wrong with it. So whenever you think about program, remember it's about how you can bring these independent projects, subcomponents together so that you can get a better value. Okay, think in that perspective when you're answering the questions, and that is how the programs normally are. So I'll take another example over here, right? Let's say there is nowadays everyone is talking about Gen AI. Everyone's talking about Gen AI. Now, do you think let's say a department wants to run Gen AI projects within their department? Do you think they running these independently is going to give them the benefits? Answer is yes. But do you think running them as a structured program will help further enrich the benefits that these projects are supposed to do? Most possible answer to that is yes. Because one team might have identified some better way of doing it, okay, which if they operate in silos as siloed projects, they will not share that information. But the moment you bring them into a program, you're now sharing the best practices between them. There might be projects which is one project is giving an output to another project which is a key input for them. By bringing them together, you are enriching those benefits. So always think it to that perspective. Agile or not, agile is just the way of delivery. Okay, these deliveries, if they have some kind of a relationship with the other, if you believe that these deliveries, if we bring them into a common umbrella which can further enhance the benefit, definitely put it into a program. Okay, think in that perspective. Hope that answers the question.
Yes, yes.
Okay, any other questions before we move on to the move on to the some five questions I've made? Any further inputs, questions from anyone?
I think we can continue.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's go on to the first question over here. Okay, and let's give you about 60 odd seconds so that you can read through, and I would appreciate if everyone answers.
B.
Sorry, B for boy or
B.
D for David?
B for boy.
B for boy. Okay. May I get responses from the others as well?
B for boy.
B for boy. Okay. Any other responses? Sham, any response from you? Okay, let's move on, guys. Okay. So first of all, right, do you think directly giving an escalation is the right thing? Come on. He's just saying that there is a new benefit. He's proposing a new benefit. Do you think proposing a new benefit is like an escalation? Absolutely not. There is no need to escalate. Why? Why would he escalate? He's doing good only, na? He's saying that yeah, there is a new benefit. Can we do that? No need to escalate. Okay. Now, do you think directly adding it makes help? Okay, someone has proposed it. I'm not going to speak to anyone. I'm just directly going to go ahead and add it. Do you think directly adding makes sense? Even that doesn't make sense. So you should not directly action it. Similarly, the action, another part is initiating a change request. Yes, you would eventually initiate a change request, but do you think that you need to do it immediately? Come on, you should not jump to those kind of actions immediately. So yes, what you need to do is the correct answer is B, wherein we are saying that yes, acknowledge it, say that it falls outside the program current strategic scope. Okay, but what we can do is we can also log in for future considerations. Okay, that is what we're gonna say over here. Got it? Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, kindly proceed, sorry. Answers, please.
C. C.
C for Charlie. Okay.
Yeah.
What about others?
It is CC.
C. Okay.
CC.
Perfect. Okay. So let's kind of go through it, right? Okay. Something in the metrics. Okay. When we actually defined, our original aim was to kind of reduce this from 3 minutes to 3 minutes within 12 months. Okay. However, what has happened is 9 months have gone through, but we have only been able to reduce it by 30 seconds. Okay. So we have still not achieved the benefit that we wanted to achieve. Now, what it is also saying is all the components have changed, have completed. Sorry, even the training is done. So there is no training issue either. So projects have completed successfully. System and training has also been delivered. Okay. And then you have a governance plan, which also says that the KPI has to be reviewed monthly. Now, this, whether monthly or not, that's a different aspect. Okay. See, frequency of the review over here is a different aspect over here. You can have such kind of statements, okay, which might just confuse you a bit. Okay. Is there a question around should we review it much more frequently or not? No, that's not the question over here. That's clearly not the question over here. If hadn't been like how should we increase the frequency, or if we increase the frequency, would the time reduce faster? There's no indication of it. So ignore statements, okay, which kind of confuse you over here. This is one such statement over here. You should completely ignore this statement. Now, what you're saying in simple terms is there was a KPI supposed to reduce the processing time by 3 minutes in 12 months. We are already 9 months in. We have only reduced to 30 seconds, and the trend is flat. That means we are not seeing any changes in the trend. So it will continue to remain flat for the remaining 3 months also. Okay. All the training has been done, projects are also completed. Then the only option that you're left over here is we need to go back to the drawing board, do a complete root cause analysis, understand why it's not been realized, what's really gone bad. Okay. Because we have done everything, right? We have delivered the capability, we have done everything. So we need to do a root cause analysis. Then only we can determine what needs to be taken next. Okay. So all the other answers, instructing the operation manager to enforce stricter adherence. Come on. Does it say that he's not doing stricter adherence? There is nothing around people point over here, right? That people are not doing it. So answer is wrong. Report metric is read at the next governance board meeting. Why would you ask them guidance when you have not done the root cause analysis? You need to present options to the board, right? You just can't say, okay, I don't know, this is red, you tell me what I need to do. Wrong thing. Okay. Revise the benefits realization plan means you're expecting that, okay, we'll never deliver 3 minutes. That is what the program failure is now. Your program had intended 3 minutes of benefits, right? Now, just by saying that, okay, fine, we'll not deliver 3 minutes, we'll deliver 45 seconds. Hold on, not the right thing. You first do the root cause analysis, then come back. Okay, so let's move on to the next one.
Just a wild guess. B.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? uh, Team, I would please request you to answer these. Putting up these questions has not been easy. Please
B
answer
B
at least.
B B.
Okay.
Answer is B.
Mhm.
but still I'm thinking of A.
Okay, perfect. Now let's address that. The reason I put this in was exactly for this. Now you see something over here, right? I have double underlined this word unavoidable. You see this? Now what do you mean by risk? Risk means a future possibility, right? What does an issue mean? Means it has happened. Are we clear with that?
Yes,
So the moment we say anything is unavoidable, because risk you can mitigate, you can transfer. Remember, right? In PMP, you had understood all of this. You can transfer it, you can mitigate it, you can what do you say? You can completely avoid it and all those things. Now he's saying that this is completely gone. He is reporting it that it project has failed. It has failed the test. So this is no longer a risk. Already it has happened. Now, if he would have said the project has a potential to fail, okay, then it's a different story. Here he is saying it has already failed. That means an issue has happened. Okay, and also, does it say that it has recorded this as risk previously anywhere? It has not even said that. You're getting my point? So something suddenly has happened, okay, which we, despite all of our planning, we couldn't we couldn't avoid. Okay, it has happened. So it is no longer constituting the definition of risk. Had this been instead of risk, it would have mentioned as issue. Okay, update the program's issue register. We would have had different things. Now here it is not even saying, right, that this has been identified as risk before. Nothing has been mentioned over here, and moreover, it has happened. Clearly, it is saying this over here, right? It has happened. So hence, your A becomes invalid. Okay. Working with communications, yes, I will do that. Okay, I will definitely have to communicate. But first of all, right, I need to kind of really look into what is happening. Okay, I need to do comprehensive impact analysis, assessment, all those things have to be done. I need to see, right, whether this 6 months delay is really going to now impact everything else that I'm doing. Because see, what they're saying over here is program's primary benefit of early market entry. I need to now understand whether this program is even feasible or not. So I need to do a complete, I need to revise, I need to understand, I need to kind of create an impact analysis. That is all that I need to go back and speak about. So I just can't just say communicate it off. Okay, we have 6 months delay, that's it done. You have this right. Some builders in Mumbai, when you ask them, okay, how is the project going on? They will say, no, no, our teams are working on it. You wait for 6 months, you ask them, what is your team doing? No, our team is working on it. Our team is working with BMC. Our team is working with RERA. Arre, what is your team working? No, no, our team is working on it. Okay. Do you think that kind of communication is going to help? It will not help. So hence, just doing the communications is not going to help out. Immediately authorize additional budget. Hey, hold on. Do we really think that putting additional budget is going to speed up the things? Not before you're doing the assessment. This might come in later. This might come in later, but not immediately. Okay. So hey, you're right. The answer is B. Okay. Let's go to the fourth question. I have deliberately put this question with the focus of transition, guys. Okay.
A.
Okay.
B, B.
Okay. Okay. Any other answers?
Just a minute.
Okay, what's your answer?
Uh, I am thinking of A, but D, I think somewhere need to be considered. So that's why I just took a moment.
Okay, no worries. Let's go through it. Okay, this is deliberately being made because I know that the benefits transition plan, okay, in the PMI text, okay, is clear, but sometimes people get confused in understanding it. I had a lot of confusions as well. Okay, so remember earlier I had mentioned that for you to hand over the benefit to the operations team, you're going to create a benefits transition plan, right? That is the plan that will give all the details, okay, to the operations manager as to how they need to kind of transition and sustain the benefits. So transition plan is very simple. What training, what handover, everything, roles and responsibilities, and how to continue sustain that particular benefit. Okay. Now what has happened here? Here a simple thing has happened. Okay. Everything is completed. You're towards the final component. All things are done. Your final component is there. Your transition plan with the plant operational director was also signed off. So the plant operational director was all happy. Yes, yes, we'll take over the transition. This is how things need to be done. He's all happy. Now suddenly he's saying, no, no, I won't take the ownership of this. I can't take the transition. Sorry. Okay. He's saying I can't take the transition. Why? There is lack of training and fear that the new system will cause production dips. Okay. Now his concerns might be valid. Okay, we are not saying that his concerns are invalid. Okay. Now let's kind of go through it, right? Now obviously this sorry, before we go over there, this is primarily jeopardizing the entire program. Okay, that the program, if he doesn't take it over, then the program is dead. Now let's go from bottom to up. Present the signed benefits transition plan to operation director. Well, even after you present, he will say, okay, fine. So what? I signed it at that time. That was my understanding. But now my understanding is different. I don't agree with you. So presenting not necessarily is going to give you the result. Now, the moment you say most appropriate action, right, think for the best answer to resolve the situation. Just by presenting what he had signed 6 months back, not going to resolve the situation. Okay, let's go see. Proceed with the program closure and saying that okay, operational team is no, they are not going to take it, and let's put it as a residual risk. Is that resolving the situation? No. You're just saying, okay, fine, you're not going to take it, fine, I'm closing the program. Well, the program is supposed to deliver benefits, right? By not addressing his concerns and directly closing the program, are we doing the right thing? We are not. That also goes. Halt the program closure activities. Okay, now this is where we get into this situation wherein we are saying halt it. Okay, charter an emergency training project for operational team. Okay, logically it is correct. Logically it is correct. Now, what it is assuming over here is training is the only reason, okay, this guy is resisting it. Have a look over here on the top, right? And a fear. So, training is one, and a fear is another one. So, had it only been citing lack of training, then your B answer would have been mostly correct. But here, what he's saying is there is a lack of training, and I also fear that production dip might happen. Okay, now just doing the training and not addressing his fear, is that going to be a correct answer? This is where you will get confused. That's why this question has been put in. It will confuse you. Okay, it addresses only one concern, not the other. That is what it does. So, what we need is we need a fuller answer to address the concern. So, what is happening over here is well, this is now clearly impacting the entire program. Okay, he had already agreed to this 6 months back. He is now walking back on that agreement. Okay, you are in the final phase. You are almost done. The very next thing after this is you want to close the program. So this is not the time for you to kind of say, no, 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 let me speak to him and all those things. You've already done whatever is required. So your next action over here is, okay, I'm going to look into what does my program governance plan tell me about this. How to kind of resolve this issue. What is the escalation process? Sometimes it may be a situation wherein this particular director might be fearing for his or own job. Do you think even doing a training and giving him convincing answer is going to help? Probably not. This is where you're going to look through the program governance plan as to what to do if a project manager, or sorry, if an operations manager refuses to accept the transition plan, refuses to accept the ownership of the particular benefit. You're in this case, right? You're going to look through the governance plan. What is the resolution and escalation process? Bring it immediately to the governance board focus. This is where escalation is required. Okay. So, humble request for you when you're looking through these kind of questions, right? Just don't look at the first issue, look at all the issue. Had this only been stopped over here, this particular answer would still have been valid. Obviously, there would have been a bit more thing over here. Even if you have to charter an emergency training project, you need to still get an approval from the board, right? You just can't initiate a new training project without the board's approval. Again, that is not a complete statement here also. Okay. So remember over here is escalations are okay to have when you are in situations like these. Okay. I'll take a quick pause. This is a bit heavy question. Any inputs, any thoughts that anyone has on this?
So, I mean,
Hmm.
can program manager actually do the escalation process first before looking at other uh, means of resolutions? Because here, that appears to be the correct answer.
Yeah. See, the in an ideal world, a program manager should do everything possible before he hits the escalation process. Okay. Now the problem that you have over here is the answers that you have put in over here are not complete. You're getting my point.
Yeah.
Had this answer been okay, a bit more complete, saying that okay, do a training project, have a meeting, have a workshop, okay, with the product, with the operations manager to understand why he feels production dips are there. This would have been a better answer. But the thing is, it's not a complete answer. This entire shape would have changed, right? Where it would have a workshop with the operations team, understand what their issues are. Basis that, then you initiate a propose a training project. Basis that you initiate further kind of program or product refinements. That would have been the best answer. The problem is it's left it in half. It's just left it in half. It only addresses one concern, not the other. This is why it becomes incomplete. So remember this, right? This is where you're going to have situations wherein you'll have to pick the best answer, and the best answer has to completely resolve it. And like I was mentioning earlier, right? Most appropriate action. The moment you see the worst word most appropriate action, you want to resolve the issue, the complete issue, not half and half, not half and half. Okay. If you remember that much, you'll be able to answer this quickly. Again, guys, this took a lot of thought to kind of put this question through, because had I worded the sentence, the option B differently, B would have been a better option. Okay, but in this case, I deliberately excluded certain things so that you have a thought when you're learning through it. Okay, cool. Any other questions on this before we move on to the last one? Okay, I'll move on to the last one now. Yes, let's go on.
A difficult one, but I will go with A.
Okay. It is a difficult one, but let's kind of go through it. So this is where the earlier slide that I had mentioned, right? I have included all the functions. All the functions have been included. Let's see what your answers are.
Yeah, I'll also go with A.
Hmm. Okay. Anyone
I'll go
else?
with B.
B. B for boy.
Yes, B for boy.
Okay, perfect. Let's go down to up. Okay, or bottom to up. So PMO. Just by tracking long-term benefits as part of portfolio management function, is that going to resolve this? See, portfolio is portfolio, right? They'll have 100 things to do. So they by tracking it, no, not there. Sponsor. Okay. Now sponsor delivered the value, right? Sponsor delivered the value. Okay. So he did his job by he providing continued oversight. Now imagine this, right? The sustainability of the program or the program's benefit is that program sponsors the responsibility? No, that is the operations manager responsibility. Now, marketing director in this case is the operations manager. So, program sponsor's responsibility is not there because it is more on the sustaining part of it. Had it been delivery part of it, then program sponsor would have been the right person for it. Okay, now we get to two key parties over here who are involved in sustaining the benefit. One is a program manager who basically creates a benefit sustainment plan, and other one is a marketing director who uses the benefit sustainment plan to continue sustaining the benefits. Okay, now let's take this as a situation, right? There is a technology thing that has got delivered over here. Okay, you see this? Use the platform. So there's some technology that has been done. Data analytics platform. You see this? Now marketing director, okay, his organization changed. Now he doesn't know what needs to be done to train the new staff. He has no idea about it. He has looked into the benefit sustainment plan. He has not found anything related to it. Okay. And what are we saying over here is new team was never trained on the platform. That's what it is saying. The failure is where? As a marketing director failed, you can say he has part of failure in it. Okay. But which plan actually includes how to train the team members? That is your benefit sustainment plan. So if your benefit sustainment plan had the training, okay, good. Did it also kind of talk about that if organization change happens, if roles change, if let's say new layers get added, some layers get removed, how are you supposed to kind of utilize this particular program benefit so that you can still sustain it even after those changes happen? So this is where the tricky part coming over here is, right? The sustainment plan, always simple things, right? If there is a failure, what is the first thing that you're going to look at? You're going to look into the plan. What does the plan tell me how to handle this failure? Right? Here's a failure here. Had this failure been clearly documented as to how to handle this in sustainment plan, the marketing director would have still succeeded even with the changes. So hence, I know that I just spoke about it earlier, right? The marketing director is the owner of sustaining the benefits. But in this case, this is the tricky part that comes in. Okay, and this is where you'll have to take a step back and understand what could have been done in the program side of things to avoid this. The benefit sustainment plan, if it would have included all the things to be done, even if the changes happened, That would have been a better answer. The last two questions have been deliberately made difficult, vague, so that you can understand how these questions might come in. Okay?
Common, I have a doubt here.
Sure.
Now, my benefit sustainment plans never says that it is not mentioned anything training about anything training on that.
No,
So
no, no.
there's
So take a
lack
step
of
back.
some information.
Take a step back. Take a step back. Okay. Now, technically, your benefit sustainment plan has to write everything in there as to what to be done so that the program continues to sustain the benefits, or rather, the operations team continue to sustain the benefits. That's the core purpose of the sustainment plan. Sustainment plan is created by the program manager slash project manager and handed it over to the operation, saying that this is how you need to now use it. Now, if organization changes are going to happen, right? That they are not, never going to stop. Now, if the material in the sustainment plan does not have those details, then that is the primary reason of failure. Okay, so always remember this, that the sustainment plan is the base which every with the operation team is going to refer on how they need to execute this. So think it this way, right? So let's say you're flying a plane. Now every plane will have a booklet, right, which will say what to do when something goes bad and so, right? So the moment a pilot kind of encounters something, okay, of a challenge, obviously he's going to use his experience. Okay, no doubt. But in addition to that, let's say something new happens which he is not able to relate to. The first thing that he is going to do is he's going to look into the manual. Now, whose responsibility is to write that manual? Is it the pilot's responsibility to write the manual, or is it the uh, plane manufacturer's responsibility to write the manual? Whose responsibility is it?
I agree with this
Hmm.
comment, but it is never written here, na? कि in manual में लिखा नहीं, it is not
No, no,
written in
no, no, no,
manual.
no. So I am. This is where I'm explaining you. This is why I put this particular question in here. That your sustainment plan should include everything that the operations team should do to sustain the benefits, which includes training, which includes maintenance work, which includes which includes recertifications, which includes SLAs, which includes KPIs, as to how they have to even measure whether it's doing the right thing or not. So, sustainment plan is a lot more holistic thing than just like, okay, I handed it over, now run. No, 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 no. It's very detailed. So, the moment you think about sustainment plan, right, think about that pilot's use book, how to use book. That will include everything. That's how you need to think about sustainment plan. Got it?
Yeah, I agree on that. But only thing is that here, in this case, the sustainment plan is not covering this provision. This is not mentioned somewhere explicit.
No, no, no. It will not. So it's a very good question. So think it this way, right? Sustainment plan is a key for us to sustain the benefits throughout the journey of that particular product. Okay. Now, even if you see over here, right? You see this? So there is a reference of benefit sustainment plan. You are also seeing a KPI which talks over here. Okay, you've seen the sustainment plan. You've seen that there's some use case around how they are supposed to use it for their reports. You've also seen a KPI over here. However, what has happened is the KPI is not met. That means the benefit is not achieved. Why is it not been achieved? Because there was a change in the organization. Okay, so the question now relates back over here is, yes, we can see that the sustainment plan, sorry, the sustainment plan includes the KPI, the metric, how to use it, and this and that. But does it capture that what happens if a new team has come through? It does not. Okay. And training, okay, is one of the key parts of your sustainment plan. Okay. If you refer to the PMI text also, both your transition and your sustainment plans will have elements of training. Transition will have training from the point of when we are moving the program or the benefit from the program to the operations, there has to be a training. Sustainment is more towards ongoing sustainment of when it is with the operations, how they have to continue operating it, which again includes training. So there might be a training manual that will be shared, okay, to the team. Here, the key point over here is, did they really factor in how should an organization change impact the sustainment plan? That is what they are hinting towards.
Okay, I'm agreeing on that part. See, suppose that in the benefit sustainment plan this was written.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
So
they are
let's
now.
let's let's revert this, right? Let's revert this. Okay, and that's a very good point. Let's revert this. Okay, let's say requires a marketing department, sustain fine, and okay, it includes the details on how members have to be trained on the new platform. Okay, let's just say that also is written. Sorry, there's a bit of a background noise. Just go on mute. Okay, so had it also been written that the benefit sustainment plan also includes how to train new people on the platform, because understand this, right? Sustaining benefits and operational activity will continue forever. So, had this been mentioned over here, trained on the new platform, then the program manager has done everything from his side, right? He's done everything correct. Then the new marketing director, why didn't he execute basis the sustainment plan that's been given? Sustainment plan clearly has everything in there. Why didn't he execute it? Then your situation comes in over here that the marketing director should have actually taken the ownership, right? Everything has been documented. So think it from this perspective. Right? Earlier, the pilot example that we had taken, pilot has been trained, new pilots have come in, they have also been trained. Okay. Now, if the new pilot does not even open the booklet in case of emergency situation, now whose fault is this? Then that is the pilot's fault, right? That is not the program manager's fault who wrote the manual. Manual had everything in there. The pilot chose not to read it. Then it becomes the pilot's fault. So that is the link that you'll have to bring in over here. And yes, I agree with you that this has been a difficult question. And you might see some of these come through in your exams. So that is why take a breath, okay, and understand whenever there is a failure, first, does the program hint, rather, does the question hint that there is something that the program manager could do? Okay, that is the perspective that you'll have to take it. And again, right, see over here from a program management perspective, from a operations perspective, again, you seeing this, right? It is deliberately hinting you towards that there is a question that says operations manager is also responsible, but it is coming back to the program management's perspective. What could he have done? You're getting my point.
Yeah.
So read all these keywords, okay, and don't rush in. That's my humble request. Please do not rush in. If you rush in, you might miss on these small details, and you might end up losing some crucial marks. If you get these kind of questions, my humble request to you is just mark them and come back later, because this will get your head spinning, and there will be some like these. Okay. Okay, let's kind of talk through the key activities that we do. Benefits identification. We know that this is a continuous activity, so you're going to have this throughout. You're going to do it during definition, during delivery. That means during closure, you're not going to identify new benefits. During closure, you're going to transition the benefits. That's it. Benefits analysis and planning. Obviously, you're going to do it during the program definition, but then you might also have situations, okay, wherein during the program delivery also you might identify some new benefits. Okay, so just don't look at it as definition planning. You can also say it plus delivery. During even delivery, something might come up wherein you might believe that this might add value for you. Okay, so to simplify, I've just mentioned it as definition, but remember that it is going to be across. Benefits delivery, obviously, you cannot deliver benefits when you're in the definition stage. I think that is very simple. So, this is going to happen in the program delivery side of it. Benefits transition and sustainment. I know that we spent a lot of time in the questions about it. So, let's spend a minute or two more on this. Okay. Transition is basically handing over the capabilities, okay, to the operational side so that the benefits can be realized. This is where you will have a benefits transition plan. So any activity will have a plan. Simple as that. Okay. Now your benefits transition plan is going to be made in two places: delivery and closure. Okay. Because there are certain benefits that will you will be able to transition immediately while you are in the program delivery phase. So we spoke about agile, right? Just few minutes back. With agile, we already know, right? We can immediately start getting benefits. We can immediately start delivering benefits. So as and when those benefits are delivered, we will transition them off. And then comes in our sustainment, that is post transition. Now understand, right? First happened first identification, then obviously you analyzed and planned it, then you delivered it. Post delivery, you transitioned it. Post transition, you are sustaining it. Just remember, just look at this table before you go for the exams. It will give you the flow of things. Okay. Now over here, what you're doing is you want continue to realize long after the program has ended. Just remember this much statement. You'll be able to answer your transition versus delivery versus sustainment. As simple as that. Okay. Also, this will include ongoing measurement and support from operations. So we were just talking in the earlier question, right? Support from operations. What kind of support metrics needs to be there? Which all technology teams need to be there for the support? Everything is going to be in here. What to do when there is a failure? Remember the pilot handbook. Sorry, I was missing the word. Remember the pilot handbook. Pilot handbook is the best example of your sustainment plan. Its complete document covers everything what needs to happen. And what you can see over here is this will be done during program closure and even post program closure because your sustainment has to continue. That is the reason I mentioned post program closure as well. Okay, perfect. So let's go on the core concepts over here. I think, yeah, here it is. So key document. Okay, benefits realization plan is critical. Just understand that this is more towards realizing the benefits, delivering the benefits. Okay. Benefits register. Remember, benefits register is like a Bible. It will include everything about the benefits. We had covered some of these questions earlier as well. Okay. And benefits transition is how you hand over the benefit to the operations team. Humble request over here: be very clear with the project output, the program outcome, and a benefit. Okay, just be extremely clear about that. A project delivering an output doesn't mean that you have successfully delivered a program. We took examples wherein even after the project was successful, the program still failed. Okay, I've just taken an example over here. New software system is an output. Ability for staff to process orders 50% is a capability, and 1 million annual savings is a benefit. So I have classified output, capability, and benefit. Okay, so benefit again will be tangible as well as intangible. So remember that element as well. There might be a question that might be thrown in that. Measurement, remember everything that we do has to be measured. Okay, which also includes our KPIs. You'll have to have KPIs while you're doing the program. You'll have to have KPIs even after the program is closed, so that the benefits can be continue to be sustained. You need to measure, right, whether it's really doing what it is supposed to do. Again, benefits management, it's not a one-time activity. It's going to be a continuous activity. It will be across your life program life cycle. Okay, you will get questions. Okay, what activities happen in which phase, which is what, if you remember, we had covered these particular things over here. I've given you the list of activity. I've given you the which life cycle which activity happens. Okay, perfect. So with that, we come to an end for today. I know today the questions I had deliberately kept it in that way because these were difficult questions. These were meant to be difficult questions. Okay, but I hope these kind of give you a bit of a sense around what kind of questions you might encounter when you're in the exam. I'll try to come up with similar ones. Hopefully in our following sessions. Okay. But yes, my humble request is please revise these if you are making notes. Well and good. If you're not, at least have a look into the video. I'm trying my best to put these videos on so that you have some kind of a reference material that you can go back to. Okay. Perfect. Before we wind up, any questions?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, one last question. So, how many questions or how many practice exams should we do before writing this exam?
I would say you should do at least three full mock exams. Okay, at a minimum three.
Okay.
At a minimum three to that.
And what is the minimum score we should have for that?
Uh, Depends on the exams research. So if I have to take a broader perspective, my thought over here will be